Hey everybody, it's Flyin Ryan here with the review of the Walkera Rodeo 150. This is a little brushless FPV racer, really cool looking model. Um, kind of looks like something out of the Portal video game or some sort of like space bug, robot bug. Really neat look, and it's just a little guy, 150 size, so this is smaller than the Blade 200QX even. And then we do have an FPV camera here, and it is actually for, like FPV racing, because you can adjust the camera here. You can angle it way up, so when you're flying forward like that, the camera is still looking forward, so you can fully FPV race with this thing. Now usually FPV racers are made out of like carbon fiber frames, and they have all that exposed stuff. And this just has a plastic frame. So on the box here, it actually does say strongly resistant frame. However, people had told me that it was fragile, and they broke theirs when they crashed it. So I had been pretty gentle with it when I was doing all my testing. However, I've already filmed my flight review of this, and at the end of the flight review, and I decided to get a little risky with it, and I put it in stagility mode, and I was doing flips with it. I accidentally did 2 flips, and the second one was too close to the ground, and this thing smacked into the ground. It was in grass, but I mean, it hit hard, and all that happened was my antenna broke off, and then the frame kind of came unsnapped, but I was able to just kind of push it back into place, and that was it. I didn't break a prop or anything, and I just ordered another antenna, no big deal, and screwed it right back on, and I'm back up and flying. So in my experience, it seems like, the strongly resistant frame, they say, it does seem like it is pretty durable. And with as small and as light as it is too, there's not a lot of mass going into a crash. So anyway, getting back to it, as I said, it is brushless, so we've got these little brushless motors on there, so it's got a ton of power and kick to it. This thing's vertical punch is just insane with how light it is, and then those brushless motors, I mean, this thing takes off. We've got a bright white headlight here in the front. I've seen some descriptions of this say that it has like night vision or something, but there is no like night vision camera where you see green or anything. I think they just mean that since it has this bright white headlight, you can see in the dark a little bit with that flashlight lighting your way. And then this ring here also lights up red, just to kind of, I don't know, for the look of it, I guess. I wish that this light would change colors with which mode you're in, but it's red all the time. But getting into that, like I was saying with the modes, we've got, let me check my notes for all my switches and stuff here. So we've got a dual rate switch here on the right, which if I can get that to focus in and light up, there we go, DR, that's our dual rate for 2 different rates. However, I had to program that myself. When I went into the menu, right out of the box, both of those were set to 100%. So I had to actually turn down one so I could have actual dual rates. And then our mix switch, which is what? This one here next to the dual rates. If I can get that to focus in. Mix switch, and that is a 3-position switch, and that gives us our 3 different modes. So we've got, with the switch up, that's our normal stability mode, so it has full 6-axis self-leveling. And then the center one is what they call ratitude or stagility. So it's a mix of stability and agility. That's where the name stagility comes from. So we're basically, as long as you give not full stick input, it will self-right just like a normal stability mode. But if you give full stick input, it turns off the accelerometer and basically starts auto flipping. So you can give a full stick input, it'll do a flip, and then once you let off the stick, it'll go back to leveling. So it makes it nice and easy to do manual flips without having to be in acro mode the entire time. And that's what I was testing in my flight review, and I accidentally held it too long and it went into a second flip into the ground. So you got to be careful. If you hold it too long, it'll just keep flipping as long as you hold the stick. And then lastly, when you put the switch all the way down, that's acro mode, or agility mode, whatever you want to call it, where it turns off the accelerometer and now you just have a 3-axis gyro, and so it'll hold whatever angle you give it until you give opposite stick input. And people like to fly FPV that way. So if you're gonna, hook up some goggles to this or something and try FPV racing, you're probably gonna want to try it in that acro mode. Now this does not come with goggles or a monitor or anything, so you do have to provide your own way of viewing the FPV. So you either need to already have goggles or get goggles separately, or a monitor, or however you want to do it. It does come with a wall-powered charger here that charges through the balance plug, and it's a 2S or a 3S charger. The battery is a 2S LiPo. Get that to focus in. Kind of weird print there. That's 850 milliamp hour. And then this is, let's see if I can get it. I don't know if that'll focus in or not, but it's an EC2 plug. My camera does not like to focus in close when I do that like that. But anyway, that's a pretty common plug. That's an E-Flight style plug, so you can get hobby grade charger plugs for that if you want. But that takes about an hour and a half to charge with a stock charger, and then you get about 5.5 minute long flights with about a 40-second LDC warning, so a little bit over 6-minute long flights. The battery compartment is on the bottom here. We've got a little unlock latch, and then you can slide this door open. It is a little bit crowded in there, but there is just enough room that you can kind of get the wires down in the front there, and then you can sort of lay these plugs on the top here, and then get the door to close in over it, because see, it does have a little bit of room on top there. So it's a little bit tight, but I have been able to get it plugged in no problem. Let's get that back out of the way, close that back up. Alright, so what else do we have? We got a couple tools here. This is wrench here is going to be for like screwing on the antenna nice and tight, and probably messing with the prop or the motors to get the prop screwed on and off. Comes with a full set of props here in these nice, spare part bags, just like you would get if you ordered them spare. So I thought that was pretty nice presentation there. And then we've got a couple cables here. This is a USB cable, and then that's going to be for upgrading the firmware. And there is a USB port here that you can plug that into. So that's going to be to upgrade the flight controller or whatever, if there's any upgrades for it. And then I'm not sure what this one is. I don't know if that'll come through on camera. It says transmitter digital signal wire. And so it's two plugs like this. I'm not sure what that's for. I don't know if that's something to do with the FPV transmission or something, or like hooking up to some sort of a transmitter. I really don't know what that is for. Okay, let's see what else is there. So there are no other LEDs. Like I said, it's got the white headlight and the red ring here, but there's no LEDs elsewhere. There's nothing in the back or on the arms or anything. So definitely, kind of geared more towards FPV flying, not line of sight, and definitely not night flying. But I had no problems flying it in the daylight and line of sight with having the red LED and the white headlight and the black plastic up here in the front. Orientation seemed to be no problem with it, and I never really had any issue, even though it's pretty small. And then being that it's brushless, you do have to arm and disarm the motors. So the rudder to the left is going to arm the motor, so you hold it there, and then the motors are going to start slowly spinning. And then when you're done to disarm it, you just hold the rudder to the right, and then the motors will stop spinning. Let's see. And it flies awesome. I really like this thing. It flies really, really well. Pretty close to the Blade 200QX, which is my favorite flyer. Maybe not quite as nimble and precise, but I really like it. I mean, this thing just flies really nice, and it's a good size for flying in a smaller area, and it's quick and, you know, very very responsive. You know, you've got a good hobby grade radio with it. Definitely a nice model. Let's see if there's anything else in my notes. It is 231 grams, so it is just under that 250 gram limit. So you do not need FAA registration for this one. Anything else? Oh, there is an audio LVC warning from the quad. It beeps. It's, you know, as you have that 40-second LVC, you can hear it beeping. It's a little bit on the quiet side, so if it's far away, you may not hear it. But if you get close to yourself, yeah, you can hear it beeping. So that's pretty cool. I always like an audio warning in case you don't see the LED flashing. Yeah, and that looks like that covers it for my notes. So yeah, like I said, I had a nice little crash at the end of my flight footage, but you know, that was at the end after I had decided to risk it and try it. So I do have a full flight in otherwise, and you know, I didn't hook up goggles or a monitor or anything. I just have this little FPV watch that I use just to, you know, verify and show that it was actually broadcasting FPV. But since it doesn't come with any sort of monitor or anything, I just focused on how it flies. And then, you know, if you want it for FPV, you can, you know, pretty much assume what that's going to be like. All right, well, let's go check out that flight footage. All right, this is the flight review of the Walkera Rodeo 150. Very cute little FPV racer. Got the brushless motors on it, an FPV camera. Really neat looking model. I think the design is just really cool. Looks like something out of the Portal video game or some sort of like alien robot bug. Pretty neat. Does not actually come with an FPV monitor or anything, so I've got this silly G-Tang FPV watch just to show that it does have the FPV camera on it. So hopefully that's showing up on my camera there. So it does have a functional FPV camera. It's got a wide angle lens on it, so that's pretty neat. You can hook up your FPV goggles or monitor or whatever to it. It does have 3 modes. It has your normal stability mode, and then your acro mode, but then it also has a stagility or ratitude mode, whatever you want to call it, where when you give a full stick input, it'll turn off the level, the stabilization, and allow you to do flips and stuff. So that's pretty cool. I may give that a shot after I've done my flight in case I destroy it. We do have 2 rates via this switch over here. This mix switch is how you change your different modes. And I don't know if you can really see it, but there's like a red LED in this ring here, and so that flashes to show you that you're changing modes. You can also hear it beeping, but it doesn't change colors or anything, so it doesn't really visually indicate what mode you're in. The camera angle is adjustable, by the way, so I've got it angled up a little bit, so when you're flying fast forward, the camera is looking forward, which is good for FPV racing. And then it also has these really bright 2 white LEDs in the front, which kind of act like headlights. They say that this has a night vision FPV camera, but it's not actually night vision. It just has those bright headlights so it can see in the dark. So that's kind of cool. And let's see, I think that's about all there is to it. And, you have to arm the motors by holding the rudder to the left. And then once you do that, the red ring LED stays lit up to show that it is armed. So now my throttle works. And then to disarm it, you just hold the rudder to the right, and then that disarms it. I'll go ahead and turn it back on. The 0 position on the dual rates is your high rates, so I'll fly in high rates. We'll just give her a flight. Not really that much to show because you know, there's no camera for recording video, and I can't really show FPV on this watch, and since it didn't come with a monitor, I figured I would just focus on how it flies, and you guys all know what it's like to FPV, so that's the thing for you. This is capable of it and has the adjustable camera and wide angle lens, so definitely fully capable for FPV racing. So I'll just focus on how it flies and It flies really nice. It's maybe not super fast, doesn't have a super ton of pitch, but I mean, as you can see, it's plenty sporty, plenty responsive, got a lot of power with those brushless motors. It flies really nice. That's full pitch forward. So it definitely out throttles the pitch. If you give full throttle, it's going to climb quite a bit. Yeah, it's got a lot of power for its size. Let's do a throttle punch here. So yeah, that thing takes off like a rocket. Plenty of power for its size. Not quite enough pitch to allow for like super fast forward flight, but man, it flies nice. Get a funnel going. Let's bring that a little closer here. Really tight funnel. Look at that. Look at that funnel. Not bad at all. This is a cool little claw, man. It looks so neat too. I like this thing. Now I've heard it's not overly durable, so maybe not great for FPV racing in that case. If you crash it, you probably are going to break some stuff on it. And it's not really that overly repairable. It's not modular or anything like, you know, one of those carbon fiber frame guys. This thing is fun. Alright, well my neighbor takes off here. Let's bring it in for a landing. I think I'm going to try some stagility and maybe try a flip and see what happens, since I've pretty much showed all there is to show otherwise. So my second position on the mix switch should be stagility, so let's give it a test. I should still have leveling. Yep, there's, I think, yeah, it's a little slower to level in this mode, but it is leveling. So let's try it and see what happens. Yep, not bad, nice and easy. Yeah, that makes for really easy flips, actually. Oh, I did 2 flips, little durability test. Let's see. It was in the grass and looked like it kind of knocked the body apart there. Looks like, yeah, otherwise I don't really see any damage. I think the body just kind of came unsnapped here a little bit, which looks like it's kind of snapping back into place. Oh, my antenna there, I didn't notice that. Yeah, the antenna broke off, because that's just the screw. So yeah, let's go ahead and shut her down. Yeah, I forgot that if you hold for too long there, it'll do multiple flips, so it went into a second flip there a little too close to the ground and smashed the ground. Who knows where my antenna is. Yeah, it just broke the antenna off at the screw, so that should be pretty easy to replace the antenna. And otherwise, I mean, it looks like the body got pushed out of place, but it's looking like I should be able to fix that, just kind of pushing it back into place. I don't see any like cracks or anything anywhere, so it looks like it's in pretty good shape actually. And that was a pretty hard hit, but you know, it was into the grass, so not too bad. But anyway, There we go. That was a little flight with some agility flips and a good durability test. And looks like it did okay, but a little bit of repairs to do on that. Anyway, check the video description for price and purchase link. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.